Hi. So in this video, we're going to talk about simplifying fractions. Okay. So in any questions, we may write these fractions at some point as equivalent fractions in order to do a calculation, but towards the end of the question, we're going to want to have our fractions as simplified as possible. Okay. So that's the opposite of writing out the equivalent fractions. Okay. So if you remember what we did from the previous video, which was whatever you did to the top, you need to do to the bottom. Same rule applies, but instead of multiplying, we're going to be dividing. So, but instead of just choosing random numbers, we're going to hopefully think about these a bit carefully because we don't want to be wasting time. And what might be helpful is if you have a times table square, because that could come in handy for this. Okay. So if we look at 6/8, and I want to simplify that to its simplest possible way. I think, what times table is 6 and 8 in? And this is where your table can come in handy. You can see here that the 6 and 8 are both in the 2 times table. So what I'm going to do is divide the top and the bottom both by 2. So I'm doing whatever I do to the top, I also do to the bottom. 6 divided by 2 is 3, 8 divided by 2 is 4. That is it simplified, I can tell you that, but you always want to be thinking, have I simplified this the most that it can be, because we want it to be as simple as possible. And yes, 3/4 cannot be simplified any further. So we've done that one. 10/15, okay? So again, if we think, what times table are 10 and 15 in? If we look here, they're both in the 5 times table. Okay, so that means we can divide both of these by 5. 10 divided by 5 is 2. 15 divided by 5 is 3. So 10/15's simplified is going to be 2/3. And next one, we've got 18/20. Now, let's think, what times table are both 18 and 20 in? And again, we can see that it's in the 2 times table. So I'm going to divide the top and the bottom by 2. 18 divided by 2 is 9. 20 divided by 2 is 10. So 18/20 simplifies to 9/10. Okay, so let's do 3 more. I'll keep this in page. Okay, they're not always going to be as easy as being able to straight away see from this page whether or not what times table they're in. Because if we look here, it's 50 over 150. Well, actually, this one is in. You can see if we continued on the 10 times table, we would get 150, but it'd be way over this end, like beyond what you can see in the screen. So sometimes both numbers are not going to be in your times table square. But think, what numbers do 50? What times table could 50 and 150 both be in? And then think of it that way, and then see if you can work it out. And yes, they're both multiples of 10, so we can divide both of these by 10. And then 50 divided by 10 is 5. 150 divided by 10 is 15. Now, I've not fully finished this question yet. This is not fully simplified because 5 over 15 can be further simplified, but that's okay. Because if we check, we can just do that now. Check 5 and 15 are in the 5 times table. So we then just divide that by 5 and that by 5. 5 divided by 5 is 1. 15 divided by 5 is 3. Okay. Now, another way we could have done that, if we didn't want to do it in 2 steps, for those that are really good, we could recognize maybe that 50 and 150 are actually in the 50 times table. So if we were to just divide both of them by 50, we would get straight to 1/3. However, we got to the answer. Even if it took 2 steps, it's still the right answer. If you can do it in 1 step, great. But if it takes you 2 steps or even 3 steps, then do that. Okay. 18 over 30. Back to a straightforward one. Hopefully. We can hopefully see that 18 and 30 are in the 3 times table. So we're going to have something like this again. Maybe while you're watching me do this, you can hopefully see that there's actually a better number we could divide it by. But I'll do it by 3, first of all. Divided by 3, divided by 3. So we get 18 divided by 3 is 6, and 30 divided by 3 is 10. Shouldn't have done that. That's not it fully simplified. We can then see that 6 and 10 are both in the 2 times table, so it can be further simplified. 6 divided by 2 is 3, 10 divided by 2 is 5. And that's it fully simplified. If maybe you'd seen that there was a better number I could have used, maybe you noticed that 18 and 30 are both in the 6 times table. So if we'd straight up divided them by 6, 18 divided by 6 is 3, 30 divided by 6 is 5. Again, 2 steps or 1 step, doesn't really matter ultimately if you get to the right answer. It takes you 2 steps or 3 steps, but you get the right answer, I'm happy. If you can do it in 1 step, that's great. Now, I have been deliberately difficult, and looking at this question, you could be thinking, can that simplify? Can that not simplify? And so 13 and 15, well, no, it can't simplify. So it's more to sort of be thinking that, always be thinking about a question, does this need to simplify any further when we're dealing with fractions, when we do more stuff when it comes to adding and subtracting fractions later on? Just always be thinking when you get to the end of your question, can I simplify this final answer? Because I'll always be expecting you to have your fraction in the most simple form possible. And this is how you do it. So that was simplifying fractions.